What's up, guys? Welcome to Sports Lounge Media SLM Bets. I'm your host, John Hamilton, and today we are featuring a special guest that's been on our podcast a numerous amount of times already. Welcome in, Ali. Thank you so much for coming on live today. We appreciate you being here. Go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit.
Thank you, John, and Sports Lounge Media for having me back on.
Yeah, absolutely. We're definitely happy to have you here. We've had quite a tremendous success so far in our year with doing our parlays, our picks, our money lines, and we're kind of here to share with you guys a little bit of our information, knowledge, and looking into week 3 for our bets and our picks, and what we think that we recommend for you guys to kind of dive into. So, kind of jumping into it. I just want to go over a little bit of our analytics of what we have so far. Again, this is Ali. He is a sports betting pro. This guy is our wizard, our magician, all of the above. So he is going to be listed there on our podcast right there. You can see his name below. We're going to go over a little bit of our record. We're going to be looking at a few things right here. We're going to be looking at our season record. Ali, we have quite a feat in our record right now. So far, we're 27 for out of the 32 games that have been played. So 27-5. We're at 84% win rate on our money line. And then we've hit 6 for 10 of our parlays thus far. So what do you think about this so far in the season, 2025 season? How do you think football is going so far?
So far, it's going good. Only thing is that there have been injuries. It's disheartening to see that for other players. But this is part of the game. You're going to deal with injuries, but like they say, the next man up. Let's see how strong your team is as overall depth wise, and yeah, that's what it's looking like. And as far as everything else, the picks teams have shown a lot of great depth. And some of them haven't shown a lot either. So it just goes full circle in assessing how teams are from now and going into the future.
Yeah, there's a lot of pieces and takeaways from week 2. Obviously, quite a few quarterbacks that have been injured or taking a week off for injury. We obviously have Joe Burrow being one of the biggest names in the NFL. Joe Burrow being out for the rest of the season due to turf toe, having that surgery. That's a huge fallback in a lot of aspects for fantasy, for money lines, for bets, and the overall Bengals season, to be honest with you. I'm not saying that the backup quarterback can't get it done and there's not going to be wins in Cincinnati, but that is a huge step back. And that O-line does need to do a better job. The head coaching staff and the O-line staff need to do a lot better job help protecting what I think is a top 5 QB. Kind of moving forward, we have J.J. McCarthy that's going to be out for week 3. Brock Purdy still out for another 2 to 3 weeks likely. We have more injuries kind of falling in line. It does sound like there was a wrist injury or hand injury with Aaron Rodgers over in the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then Justin Fields is also unfortunately going to be out for a little bit of time. So a lot of injuries in the quarterback world inside the NFL. This does change picks and parlays a little bit. So you have to configure and do your history of who the backups are and how they perform with the staff and personnel that they have to offer for their offense. So moving forward and kind of seeing what we have here, we're going to jump into kind of our power ranking segment, and then we're going to go over our money line picks of who we have. Now, Ollie and myself kind of went over it before stream. There's some agreements and disagreements of what we have, but I am going to upload this image here for you guys, and I'm going to walk over and kind of this is strictly for what I think to be more or less where I see the teams. I'm going to hide this little bar here. So At the very bottom, this is going to go bottom from top. Top teams are what I feel to be Super Bowl contending teams, or that could easily make it right now. But we're going to start at the bottom. And obviously, this is taking biasness away from everything. And this is just for week 2 going into week 3. There's nothing more than that. This is just stipulating what's going into week 3. This does not mean the entire season. Obviously, who I think does not have a chance so far going into week 3, the Panthers, the Dolphins, the Saints, the Giants, the Browns, and the Jets. Would you agree with that, Ollie?
100%.
Yes. So those teams, I feel like just they're in pick contention for next year's draft. Some teams that I like, they're intriguing, but they're not quite developed, are the Chicago Bears and the Las Vegas Raiders. Do you also agree with that?
100%.
I think there's a lot of talent on that team. I think Rome Odunze is a beast. I really like Loveland. I think Ben's a great coach. I think Caleb has a big potential for his ceiling. I think there's just some small things that need to be adjusted. They definitely need a little bit more help on the O-line, and the defense needs to be completely reestablished. They've also dealt with some injuries this year, but I think that they could reformat. Geno Smith in Las Vegas, the last performance was just horrendous. If you have him on your fantasy, I'm sorry. If you had him for Moneyline picks and parlays, I'm sorry. There's no way that he should be performing that bad. I do understand that the Chargers are a great team. It is a division game. However, that is not an excuse to perform like that. You cannot put your wide receiver and ball at risk to be intercepted or picked off that much in a game. It's just not acceptable. Moving up to mediocre at best in the category, I have the Steelers, the Titans, the Cowboys, and the Jaguars. Now, the Jaguars is an interesting one. It could be missed playoff teams, which is a category above. But I still think it's too early. Out of those 4 teams, which one do you think can move up or down? Out of the Steelers, the Titans, the Cowboys, and the Jaguars?
I believe the Jaguars could, personally speaking.
Okay.
Steelers could too. Steelers have good defense, and we were talking about this going into the season. They added a lot of depth, a lot of stars over there, but they have not been performing like that. Like I had them as a number 1 defense going into the season, but they have not shown any flashes of it, if you ask me personally. So they have a lot to address, and they have to get it together. So with that, and then with Aaron Rodgers' health the way it is, and his performance at his age, there's a lot of things to factor in.
Yeah, there's a lot of concerns diving into whether Aaron Rodgers is going to be able to perform. Are we going to see another performance like how he was in the Jets, or are we going to see something more moving forward that's going to be profitable for that franchise in Pittsburgh? Now, Mike Tomlin is one of the most winning coaches of all time, right? He always has above a 500 record. Is this the first season that we could see Mike Tomlin maybe not making that 500 record? What do you think?
Potentially speaking, it's not like, I think it's come full circle this year that it's definitely possible. Whereas previous years, you would think that, he would get it around together, but the uncertainty surrounding this year with the team's roster and depth and everything, it's a big question. It's a big factor going in. So
it is.
I do see that. Yeah.
100%. Missing playoff teams. Moving up into our next category, we have the Cardinals, the Commanders, the Vikings, the Seahawks. I have the Chiefs, and I also have the Patriots. Now, diving into this is going to be something that people are going to want to pay attention to, especially statistics and analytics. This is the first time that the Chiefs will start 0-2 since 2020. Most teams that make a wild card or playoff run is 12% or less starting out 0-2. I do not think this is a great start off, and I think this is a very tough schedule for the Kansas City Chiefs. Does not mean that they can't make the potential wild card, but this is just stipulating in week 2 going into week 3. So out of those teams, I think that the Chiefs could be volatile to move up, and I also think that the Cardinals could be volatile to move up. Now, Minnesota is having a little bit of issues with their quarterback room era. I do see that J.J. McCarthy has potential. I think that it's his second debut into the NFL. I think the kid has a lot of room to grow. However, with his injury or what may be, it's still undecisive on how he's going to perform moving forward. With the Cardinals and Chiefs, do you think they can move up a little bit in the rankings?
Yes, I do believe so. I do think they can move up in the rankings. Chiefs, they will. I certainly do believe that because one, they're missing offensive weapons with Rasheed Rice and Xavier Worthy, and yeah, Kelsey. I'm sorry to say, like I'm running out of excuses for the guy, personally speaking.
Sure.
But I think he's definitely treading downhill now. So they're definitely going to need those weapons back offensively.
I completely agree. Moving up to the category above that is our potential wild cards. Now we do have a perfect 7-7 for NFC, AFC from the wild card standpoint to the Super Bowl contending teams. So potential wild card, we have the Denver Broncos, the Cincinnati Bengals, the Colts, Detroit Lions, and the Texans. All of those which I have done my research on, and I definitely believe these teams to at least be wild card teams as of week 2 going into week 3. Do you agree with that, Ollie?
I do agree with that, yes.
Yeah, I think the Denver Broncos are the one and the Lions are the one that stand out the most to me out of the these two teams to really make a bigger push into being ahead of the playoff team taking their divisions. It's really early in the season, but this is just a standpoint of what I recommend. I think Bo Nix had a great bounce back performance, throwing 3 touchdowns and 1 interception. I think that win by the Colts was really in the hands of the Denver Broncos with some misplays and miscalculations on the coaching side of things. However, things happen, and it was still a W for the Colts. Moving forward, we have the playoff teams for what I believe to be some of the strongest teams in the NFL right now. We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield, having absolute tremendous season so far. We have the San Francisco 49ers still able putting wins together for that franchise under Mac Jones as a backup in week 2 and possibly for the next 2 to 3 weeks. We have the Atlanta Falcons, which they look great, don't they, Ollie?
They do. They definitely do. I'm very impressed by Mike Jr. and he's showing great signs of being a franchise quarterback, and they definitely have the weapons to go make that extra push that they need and get into contention.
So the NFC and the AFC South has always been sort of the weaker divisions of all directions of divisions. I'm interested to see, is this the year that we start seeing some strength come out of the South? I definitely think that Tampa Bay and Atlanta are 2 solid figures that come out of the South. I think they're doing a phenomenal job with their gameplay. They stepped up defensively and massively, and their offense has always been really strong. I think Michael Penix Jr. has done a phenomenal job operating that offense with the weapons that he has with Bijan Robinson and also Drake London, but also spreading it around to the wide receiver 2, 3, and 4. He did a really good job with his completion rate and drop back EPAs. Our next team in the playoff team for our last one in this category is going to be the Los Angeles Rams. I absolutely have a lot of faith in Matthew Stafford. I think Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams are a great WR1, WR2. Now, the big thing with this is Sean McVay. Sean McVay is a great coach, and he plans ahead very well, but he has to get these wins in the division to be able to clinch the NFC West. I think it's going to be very close in the NFC West this year. It'll probably be within a game or 2 of taking the division lead. And moving forward with the Rams, it's really going to depend on their health, right? Just like with any other team. But the NFC West typically is riddled with a lot of injuries. So far, we haven't seen too much. Do you think that the Rams could walk away with the division win this year?
I could see it happening personally. They're very talented, but it is going to be a hard challenge. The Cardinals are a good team. The Niners are a good team. I would definitely say the Niners for sure, but it's the injury that's been, you have to factor that in. And I think if the Niners do get back, once they get back everybody and they're 100%, depending on the record they're at and their schedule, yeah, I can see the Niners definitely taking the division. That's who I had as my division winner prior to the season.
Absolutely, yeah.
Easy schedule.
I think we had talked about that based off of kind of their schedule strength and who they had personnel-wise. So Super Bowl contending teams that I have, and there's a category above it. Super Bowl contending teams, I have the Green Bay Packers, which look phenomenal this year. Their defense has stepped up like night and day difference. The Micah Parsons trade is significant. Now, just because he isn't making record-breaking sacks so far in the season does not mean that he is still not a trouble part of an offense operating two offensive linemen on a left tackle and left guard to be able to keep him in control. They're doubling him up, and he's still able to make plays here and there. I think that the Green Bay Packers have Jordan Love. He comes off of an injury with his non-throwing hand, and he's staying healthy. I think that Golden is a great pickup as a rookie wide receiver, and he has a great weapon core on his offense to be able to operate efficiently enough to be produced eighth right now in offensive total yards and passing. Now, his drop back EPA is up 20% from what it was last year, which is a tremendous growth. I think his confidence is really shooting through the roof, especially having such a strong defense. And Matt is such a good coach as well. You think Green Bay has a good opportunity to take the NFC North?
Oh, very easily now. Considering especially the injuries inside the NFC North. The Detroit Lions are. I'm going to put them at number 2 right now currently, but with J.J. McCarthy being out in Minnesota for however long it is, I think Green Bay is way too stacked defensively and offensively. They look solid. Tucker Kraft looks great. He's a very underrated tight end that a lot of people don't notice, but he's definitely great. And regarding that, their schedule, it looks pretty good.
I think they're in the upper moderate level of difficulty for schedule.
Yeah.
I mean, you have the NFC North. It's not an easy feat. The AFC West and the NFC North is by far the 2 toughest divisions in the NFL. There's not even any argument with that.
Absolutely.
Based off of people who they've played last year into this year, it's just night and day. So the next team that we have is the Baltimore Ravens. Obviously, we saw them against the Bills. They lost by a point right down to the wire. I don't think that's any negative takeaway, except for maybe allowing 15 points without any kind of feedback or bounce back in the fourth quarter from the Baltimore Ravens. There was a mistake by Derrick Henry where it got fumbled. Now, if he didn't, that game's over. They win, and it wouldn't have been any negative context towards the Bills. You know what I mean? I think those are 2 tremendous teams that have powerhouses of wide receivers, running backs, and quarterbacks. I think they're the 2 best quarterbacks in the league, along with obviously Patrick Mahomes. And I think that it's really interesting to see where they're at in the season already going into week 3, but I definitely think it's a long season for them. I think that they're going to be playing and they're going to be winning. Next is going to be the San Diego Chargers, I think, or the LA Chargers now. The LA Chargers are just on fire right now, and they have not beaten easy teams. And yes, the Raiders played horribly. However, it is still a division team, and the Kansas City Chiefs, they played in international waters. And I think that they did a great job handling the time efficiently to where they managed to have the ball more on the run game as opposed to the passing. Justin Herbert still had a very high completion rate, and he was able to move that ball around to 6 different receivers, including the tight ends. It's really impressive to see how he's operating the system this year, and I'm excited to see kind of how he moves forward. Now, the Chargers for you and me, right? That's kind of that's a sneaky little 2-0 team right now that we did not think that was going to operate this way, huh?
Yeah, we definitely did see that. Like that is really shocking, but I'm not surprised by it. They have an excellent coach in Jim Harbaugh, one of my favorite coaches, to be honest, and they have the depth for sure.
Yeah, they definitely have the depth for sure. I think them having Keenan Allen and Ladd McConkey, those are just 2 massive weapons that you can't ignore, and kind of trying to come up with a play on cover 2 or even playing a dime or a man. It's really hard how you're going to have to spread apart your top corners and safeties to cover those guys. Moving into the top 2, I don't even think these are arguments. These are definitely the Super Bowl best bets for who I think are the Philadelphia Eagles and the Buffalo Bills. I don't think there's any argument or any room in that. I think Josh Allen is performing amazing as he always does this year, and especially in the early season. I think who he has to play against in the next few games is really going to be beneficial for him. And I think that the Philadelphia Eagles are on a roll. They went into Arrowhead and beat them. Yes, Jalen Hurts only threw for 101 yards and 1 touchdown, but at the end of the day, they won, and that is all that matters. Their team looks just as strong as it does last year, and Saquon's not even rushing for as many yards as he was. So they've definitely filled into a lot of pieces that they needed. I think the rookie wide receiver pickup for Keon Coleman is a phenomenal pickup for the Buffalo Bills. Khalil Shakir is a great asset for them as well. And they have 2 strong running backs that I think are completely underrated in Buffalo. And then some of the defensive pieces that they picked up in Buffalo as well. So these 2 teams, would you agree that these are probably the 2 teams that are sitting on top?
100%. Yes, I do agree with that. They definitely, but they both look really great. A lot of people had concerns about Saquon Barkley and even Jalen Hurts, but one thing I always point out to people is regarding Jalen Hurts is he does more enough just to get the win. You know, like if he has to put the team on his shoulders and throw the ball more, he will. He showcased that in the Super Bowl. So, but if he doesn't have to, he does what needs to be done, and that's all you can ask for. It's not about the accolades from passing yards and all of that to showcase anything like that. So you want the big prize, and that is the Lombardi.
Yeah, 100%. Moving forward, I've kind of put together a little thing here. We got our power rankings for going into week 3. Then we're going to get our picks taken care of for you guys. So definitely pay attention. Remember, guys, this is Sports Lounge Media. This is sponsored by the Mogul brand and Diamond Collection. Remember, if you guys are going to gamble, always do it just for fun. If you have any concerns about gambling addiction or you need help, please reach out to the Gambling Anonymous hotline that you can reach out on Google. Please definitely not gamble your money away or your life savings. This is just for fun, and this is just tips and advice. Our power rankings. So I have the 49ers sitting at 12 right now. They're 2-0. Injuries or not, it continues to be jarring to watch the 49ers just be so normal and still operate with wins. Yes, their opponents are weaker on that, but their passing offense is 6th. Their rushing defense is 28th. So there's some work to kind of figure out there, but their passing defense is sitting at 10th and their rushing defense is 15th. So there's a lot of positives with that. I think that we could see maybe some improvement going forward. Next is going to be the Denver Broncos. They're 1-1. The passing offense is 18th. Rushing is 20th. Passing defense is 7th. And the passing defense is 4th. Now, Sean Payton and company have every right to feel robbed from the last game. However, the offense is improving, and there's some encouraging factors going into the offense this year. I think that we could see a lot of adjustments being made and a lot of upgrades kind of moving forward. And this one's kind of surprising where I have the rankings, but I have the Washington Commanders above the Broncos just based off maybe the division or the conference. But I think where they stand, their rushing offense is 3rd. If you didn't know that. So pretty impressive stat right there. Passing defense is 7th. And their passing offense is pretty horrendous, to be honest. It's 25th. So we do need to see Jaden Daniels kind of improve. If anybody in the Commanders jersey had help for Jaden Daniels, that'd be nice because the O-line did not look good. It looked pretty bad, to be honest, from what I saw in the last game, but I'm interested to see kind of the takeaways of what we got going moving forward. All right, sitting at 9th, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 2-0 winning ugly games. It's actually a positive long-term sign from Tampa, right? Because Tampa always plays horribly against bad teams. So I'm interested to see how they play against good teams. Positive is that their rushing defense is sitting 3rd in the NFL with negative 27 or 0.27 EPA rush allowed, meaning that they are stopping the 3rd down conversion consistently, which is going to be interesting when you play against teams like the LA Rams or the San Francisco 49ers, which are so prominent on the rushing offense. So interested to see how that matchup is going to be with 2 strong backs with Williams and Christian McCaffrey. but we have a few weeks until that happens. Even though Kansas City Chiefs are sitting at 0-2, you cannot take away where they were starting and where they're at now. They're sitting at 8, and the power ranking, they do sit a strong medium, sitting at 14th overall in passing offense, rushing offense, passing defense, and rushing defense. So there's a lot to take away. I still think Mahomes is getting what he needs to do to get the job done. However, like I stated earlier, this is the first time that the Kansas City Chiefs are 0-2 since 2020, and there is only a 12% chance from statistics and history from teams that started 0-2 to make it into the wild card spot. I do see that the Chiefs could be that one team. I think that's very strong for Andy Reid to be able to readjust, reevaluate, and move forward with some wins under the belt to get them into the wild card. Next is going to be 7th, Ali, for the Los Angeles Chargers, sitting at 2-0. I think this is a huge improvement this year for this team. This team has Jim Harbaugh's dreams, and he's happy about what they're being made of right now. Nobody benefits more than the truth from Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert is absolutely killing it this year. Herbert is now sitting at 3rd in passing offense with a 0.36 EPA dropback, which is a phenomenal stat. Last year, he was sitting at 17th. So huge improvement. Wow. Not only that, the biggest takeaway is their passing defense. They're 3rd right now with a negative 0.08 EPA dropback allowed, meaning that they are not allowing their opponents on 2nd and 3rd down to make completions that often. Moving forward, we have the Detroit Lions sitting at number 6, Ali, 1-1. Do we think this is a too early sign for them to be like, they're a mediocre team? Do you think we saw a lot of what is to come based off of the last game that we saw?
Yeah, I mean, season. Well, no, actually, let me rephrase that. The thing is, regarding their record, yeah, they're 1-1. They look tremendous in week 2 against my team, as much as I hate to admit it. But here's a lot of things we have to factor into this one: is that they did play an injury-depleted defense. There were a couple of pieces that the Bears didn't have.
Yep.
And they did lose people. And in the beginning, it looked pretty good toe-to-toe. But after Jalen Johnson went down with the injury, everything just went haywire after that. And I think the Bears personally didn't have the depth. They clearly didn't, actually, to prove, to test the Detroit Lions a lot more, whereas the Green Bay Packers did. So I think it's still too early to tell. I think when they go up against a good team going into this week, this will definitely show where they stand.
Yes.
And, you faced a divisional opponent, you lost in week 1. Week 2, you played a much weaker divisional opponent, and you won. So you can't fully take away from them, and they're at 500. But this week, for sure, this is where it's going to showcase. So I'm really not hopping onto it completely yet. Let's see how they perform this week, and we'll have a much better idea of where that franchise goes going forward.
Yeah, I completely agree. We got a comment in from Micah about 10 minutes ago saying that the time management killed them, but it won't happen again. 3 division games in the first 3 weeks is crazy. I completely agree. I don't understand the lineup for how they put this together, whether that be Roger Goodell or whoever establishes the teams in the first few weeks. But this is a lot of division games. I don't understand it, if it's for getting numbers or publicize viewership. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, it's not okay with me. And I'm interested to see kind of what happens moving forward. So yes, I beat down on a bad team was just what the doctor ordered for the Detroit Lions. Passing offense was 1st, by the way, in the league right now. They jumped from 15th to 1st. So that's huge. Then their rushing defense is 6th. However, their weakest part of their team is the rushing offense at 24th, and that is surprising with having Gibbs and Montgomery. Passing defense is 23rd. That is really bad. So when they start playing teams that have good quarterbacks, that have good wide receiver core, they are going to struggle and struggle hard. Next is going to be in the power rankings in the 5th spot. We have the Los Angeles Rams sitting 2-0. Now, if this is a version of Matthew Stafford where we get all season, maybe training camp is overrated, right? Because these stat lines are super impressive with the Rams. And to be honest with you, I kind of put them on top if you want to just talk about stats. Passing offense 13th, rushing offense 2nd, passing defense 1st, rushing defense 10th. That is a stronghold of a team.
It is.
I can see a lot of good things coming out of this year for the Los Angeles Rams. And, I wouldn't be surprised seeing them make a deep run into the playoff either, not just having a good season. Moving next in our 4th spot is the Baltimore Ravens sitting at 1-1. Yes, they're 1-1, but they should be 2-0. Passing offense is 5th. Rushing offense is 10th. Passing defense is 12th. Now they lack in rushing defense. This is interesting because who's strong with the rushing game? The NFC, not the AFC. The NFC, when they get matched up, if they go against and they make it to the Super Bowl and they have a strong run game like the Atlanta Falcons with Bijan Robinson, or even you could say the Lions, even with where they're sitting right now, or you have the Rams or the Niners, they're going to struggle. It does not seem like they're playing man coverage in the middle linebacker area for covering the running back. It seems like they're playing spy a lot. So I'm interested to see how they perform. The wins over the Browns was a mature performance after last week's loss. Yeah, I can see them growing from that and kind of moving forward. But next, in our 3rd spot, getting down to our last 3 is going to be our Green Bay Packers. They're sitting at 2-0. We're inching closer to Green Bay taking a top spot in these rankings. Right now, they have a very strong stat line. Passing offense 6th, rushing offense 12th, passing defense is 7th, and rushing defense is 2nd. So they are really putting together a team at a high caliber level to really make a deep run. And it's funny because Mike was saying before the season started that Green Bay does look like a team to make a deep run into the season. And I guess we're, again, week 2 going into week 3, but we'll see what happens. Next, we have the Buffalo Bills 2-0. I think this is a really good spot for the Buffalo Bills. Would you agree with this, Ali?
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yes,
Buffalo's real identity, punching opponents into the mouth on both sides of the ball, Ali.
It is.
Passing offense is 2nd, rushing offense is 6th, passing defense is 14th, and rushing defense is 25th. Again, it seems to be an ongoing trend with the AFC and the top teams. The rushing defense is just horrendous. So if that's the case, why aren't most teams just utilizing the time and running the ball as much as they can every down, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you need to switch it up every once in a while, but this seems to be pretty impressive stats, more or less for their opponent. But moving forward, we already know who it is. The Philadelphia Eagles sitting 2-0. It'd be nice if this offense remembered how to get Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown involved, right?
Yeah.
And their stats aren't very impressive, to be honest with you, but somehow they're getting it done. Passing offense is 22nd in the league. Rushing offense is 6th in the league. Passing defense is 15th. Rushing defense is 12th. So they're only top 10 in one category. And that's it. That's rushing offense. And they're not even in the top 5. However, they're still getting it done, and they're playing good opponents too. So I think it comes down to the utilization of clock management, coaching, and utilizing players in the position of where they need to be. That's kind of what I find interesting for the power rankings. Quick 30-second takeaway, Ali. Go ahead about what you think about those power rankings.
Yeah, I totally agree with that assessment. That they dive deep into it. Definitely, like the AFC, they definitely have to work on the rush defense. The NFC, they have a lot of talent when it comes to the running back position, and if they utilize that a lot more the way they have been so far, I think they're poised to make a great breakout. And with the Super Bowl in the air, it's not like a given automatic for like AFC. When everybody thinks who's going to win the Super Bowl this year, a lot of people always have a major consensus that it would be the AFC teams. But this just showcases that no, every team has a lot of holes, and it could definitely be exploited.
Yeah.
And the NFC, they scrap away and they get it done, as especially a lot of battle tested teams.
Absolutely. I completely agree. There is something I want to kind of dive into now. We're going to be talking about kind of our picks. We're going to be running through them now. These aren't what we are betting on. These are just going to be our picks for what we like as our individual choices for your pick'ems, or however you want to say it. You can bet on these money lines if you want. You can go with me. You can go with Ali if we have any differences. However, I will tell you this right now. This is just a quick initial overlook of what we think that these teams are going to win in. So let's dive right into it. Welcome into this segment. This is going to be our bets and picks for this week in week 3. First matchup that I have on my app right here, Ali, with DraftKings. That is the app that I do use. You guys can use many different apps. There's FanDuel and many others. DraftKings seems to be the one that I like the most and what I use the most. It definitely gives you favorable odds, and they change very fast, which is good because it gives you the updated information on each player and team. We have the Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills. I already know who I'm taking. Who are you taking, Ollie?
I definitely know who I'm taking. I'm taking the Buffalo Bills.
Yes, so we agree on that. Buffalo Bills at home. Don't see the Dolphins doing it. I think the head coach is on his way out from Miami here, probably in a few games. Going next is going to be the Green Bay Packers and Cleveland Browns.
Yep. I got the Green Bay Packers.
I have the Green Bay Packers in this. However, I think this is going to be a very defensive game. I think we're going to see a lot of pressure from the Cleveland Browns edge rushing onto Jordan Love. Let's see what he's made of. Next is going to be a tough one. Okay.
Ooh.
LA Rams and Philadelphia Eagles.
This is going to be tough. It's definitely going to be tough, but I am going with LA Rams on this one.
LA Rams. I'm going to take the Eagles on this one. I am going to take the Eagles at this. I think the biggest thing, and even though the Rams have the number 1 rush defense right now, I think the Eagles at home are one of the hardest teams to play in modern football right now, with home field advantage. The Rams were really close last year in the playoff game. However, I think that the Eagles can assess. I think this is going to be a very, very close game. There's no way either of these teams are walking away with more than a touchdown in scores. So it could go either way. But yeah, Ollie does have the Rams and I do have the Eagles. Moving on to a very interesting game is going to be the Colts versus the Titans. And the Titans are home. Who do you have in this, Ollie?
This could be a very trap game, but I am going to go with the Indianapolis Colts.
Based off performance and play of what we've seen in the first 2 weeks, I am going to go with the Colts. However, this is a week that I think the Titans could get the first win. Moving forward, we have the Jets and the Bucks. This is a very easy one for me. We have a backup quarterback for the Jets. Now, Tyrod Taylor isn't a bad quarterback. However, he is not Baker Mayfield. And he does not have Mike Evans, Bucky Irving, and so many other players on that team. I have the Bucks at home. I think it'll be a nice vacation for the Jets to see nice weather, but that's about all they're going to get. Moving forward is the Atlanta Falcons and the Carolina Panthers. I have the Falcons. Who do you have?
I have the Falcons as well.
Yep. So the Falcons are putting together a really stellar offense. Their defense looks top notch. I think the Panthers are the worst team in NFL right now. I think this is going to be a W for the Falcons. Next one's kind of a tough game since we don't have Jaden Daniels in the game and Geno Smith just threw 3 picks. Who you got in this one?
I'm still going with the Commanders. And the reason why I go with that, quick brief takeaway is that their backup quarterback is Marcus Mariota, and he's a very solid backup quarterback. He did perform well with last year, was it, with the Commanders?
Mm-hmm.
So I think he has enough what it takes, and they are playing at home. So,
yep.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how his connection with Debo Samuel goes in that one.
I completely agree with you 100% on this. Yeah, I think Marcus Mariota is a phenomenal quarterback. I've been watching him since he was in high school days. Really interesting to see him in college, by the way, and the adversity of playing. I think that he performed very well in some of his debut games, and I think through the many years that he's been in the league that he still has a very good head in the game. I'm not surprised he's still in the league, even as a backup. He has a very good arm. He's very poised in the pocket. And I think there's a lack of confidence and a lot of frustration in the locker room with the Las Vegas Raiders. And I think that the Washington Commanders at home, being on the other side of the country, are going to be able to perform well. I think Debo Samuel is an absolute weapon for them, which is very surprising to say based off of the performance of the last 2 years with the 49ers. But I think Mariota, Debo, I think Ertz, I think all these weapons and their fifth and rushing defense, which is really going to help stop Genty. So, yeah, I'm going with the Commanders. Next game. Now, I will tell you, Vegas is favoring the Steelers, but I think I'm going to be taking the Patriots at home. Who do you got in this one?
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm definitely taking the Patriots on this one.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Patriots, I think Will Campbell's a great addition. I thought that was one of the best draft picks that they could have used, especially for having a rookie quarterback, Drake May. I think they have great wide receivers on the team. I think they have a pretty good defense that they're putting together, too. I think the inconsistencies with the Steelers is really upheld with Aaron Rodgers at the helm of the quarterback position, but I think that the Patriots do take away with the win, even though they're not favored. Moving forward from here, we have the Bengals and the Vikings. Now, this is such an interesting game. We have two backup quarterbacks going against each other. This is at Minnesota. You have Jordan Addison coming back this week, too, as a wide receiver. And then you have two great wide receivers over on the Bengals side of the ball with Chase, and you also have Higgins. So where do you go with this? And I think my biggest takeaway, and I think we're on the same page with this, Ollie, is that the Minnesota's rush defense is phenomenal to get to the quarterback, and the O-line for the Bengals is just absolutely horrible.
It's horrendous, for sure.
So are you kind of on the same route that I am, that yes, we want the Bengals to win, however, the Vikings are going to take away this win?
Yeah, I definitely see that happening because, one, it's in Minnesota's home. Having Jordan Addison back is a huge addition.
Huge.
And then another thing a lot of people don't notice is that Aaron Jones is on IR, so the next man up, Jordan Mason, he's coming up. And I think we even mentioned that later on down the season, we wouldn't be surprised if Jordan Mason took that starting running back job.
Yep.
Unfortunately, right now it's due to an injury to Aaron Jones, which I hate that there's injuries that happen. But he has a strong running game. He's a very strong power back. I think that he's tremendous at that position. And not to mention, they have Carson Wentz as a backup versus Jake Browning. So in that aspect, I have to go with the Vikings.
I would go with the experience with Carson Wentz with the Vikings. I think this is a strong takeaway for this game. Next is going to be kind of a trap game. Now, both teams, one's not playing well to start off, and the other one is just a lot of new pieces inside of their chessboard. We have the Houston Texans versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. It could go either way, to be honest with you. I really, really want to have faith in the Texans based off of the defense and based off of CJ Stroud. But how long do we have to have faith in him? Now, it's the same repeating story with Trevor Lawrence. How much faith do we have to put in Lawrence, right? His hair, his beautiful hair only goes so far, right? So what are we doing here, Ollie? What are we doing? Where are we throwing our coins at? Where are we throwing our, our little Mario coins? Where are we putting them?
Mario coins. This is the ugliest game, if you ask me personally.
I completely agree.
But yeah, there are a lot of factors. The Jaguars are playing in Jacksonville.
Yep.
They're favored over to 1.5 point. But the Texans, their offensive line.
It's
I think my
horrendous.
reaction
It's
horrendous.
so
Yeah,
bad. It's so bad.
it's horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's why it's so hard to determine. But I think the comeback that they led against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the Texans on this one. I think they do need a win under their belt, and I think this is where they get their first victory.
Interesting.
But it is a very, very hard 50-50 for me.
Yeah, it's sitting pretty close right now. Vegas has a plus 105 and to Jacksonville's negative 125. And now in comparison, if you guys don't know anything about the overs and unders on this, Buffalo Bills are minus 850 to Dolphins plus 575. So that gives you an example. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not sure. I'll have to dive in a little bit more, but right now I'm feeling comfortable with the Texans just because I saw what they were able to do last year, and they haven't had horrible games. The games that they've played have been really close. I think that there just needs to be a little more confidence and more utilization of how they're moving the ball around the field and down the field. Next is going to be the Saints and Seahawks. To me, this is an easy one. It's Seattle at home. They're never easy to play at home. They're very tough. They have a great defense. They have Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker, two great running backs that split the ball time. They have JSN, which is absolutely undeniably their wide receiver one and best weapon on the team. And on the other side, they have Cooper Kupp. They have AJ Barner. They have some great tight ends. Sam Darnold throwing the ball, he's doing an okay job. However, I think that if they use the clock management really, really well and don't allow Spencer a run game, which is crazy to me, I think Seattle can absolutely take away a win. I don't see how the Saints pull off a win in Seattle.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah,
Seattle is one of the toughest stadiums to play in. I know that personally, so I definitely have Seattle taking this by a long shot.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. I think, in each week with picks, there's always at least 1 to 3 teams that are massive upsets. And a perfect example last week was the Colts and the Broncos, right? Like no one was picking the Colts. So I do see Seahawks winning this. I don't see this being an upset game. An upset game that isn't necessarily an upset because it could swing either way is going to be the Broncos and the Chargers. This is a division game, and this game matters so very much to both teams for sitting at the top spot in the division. Are we going to see Bo Nix how he played last year? Or are we going to see the consistency of Justin Herbert, how he's playing this year?
This is a very hard take. I think you'll see flashes of both. I think Justin Herbert is still going to continue to perform well. And the bigger question, if you ask me here, is it would regard Bo Nix. And personally, he did have a prospect game last week. Mm-hmm. And I think he does play well enough. They're fantastic on the defensive side. Offensive, they're pretty good too. Yeah. But it's a divisional game. It's in LA. So, for me, in this take, I would have to go with the Chargers.
I think I'm going to go with Chargers, even though I actually really like the Broncos in the sense of Bo Nix. I think Troy Franklin and Bo Nix, they're two of my favorite offensive players in the league, top 20 right now for who I like. I think Bo Nix has a huge franchise ahead of him. I think he's going to play for a long time. I think he's going to be a great quarterback. I thought he was slept on last year for being talked about, to be honest, with going 10-7. Now, again, he could have a phenomenal game. He could throw for 3 or 4 touchdowns. We've seen it before. He's thrown for 5. So they have a great defense, but the Chargers have a great defense too. I think this is I don't know why this is not the Monday Night Football game, to be honest with you. I think this would be a great game to have on Monday Night Football, but I'm going to take Chargers in this one. If when in doubt, you always take the home team. So next is going to be another close one. Are we going to see the first game won by Chicago this season, or are we going to see the Dallas Cowboys kind of walk away with this win? There's a lot to take away though, Ollie, in this, right?
It is.
I think the first half could easily go to Chicago, but with how the Bears have been performing in the second half in the last 2 games, the Cowboys could come back and win it.
They could. They definitely have the talent. They have the depth. As a Bears fan, unfortunately, I hate to say it, like, we always mess it up in the second half. So you have to have a lot of things going your way. Number one thing, though, if they don't polish this up, I'm going to tell you this is an easy win for the Cowboys, is the penalties. That offensive line, they are making too many crucial mistakes, because there's so many times that I've seen in these 2 games where Caleb Williams has put his team in great positions, field positions, where he could have gone ahead and scored. But due to killing penalties, that sets you back, and it literally does demoralize a team, a person too, and it's hard to come back from. Playing from behind is always too hard. You know that.
It is, yeah. It's really tough. Unless you're the Bills or the Chiefs or the Eagles or someone along the lines of that caliber, it's really hard to be playing from behind.
Really hard. Yeah, especially with this team and this new team going forward, it's very hard. So unless the Bears polish that up, I don't see there any possibility of the Bears winning. Speaking. And especially with the defensive pieces being gone too. Jalen Johnson out for the year. I hate to say that. He's a great, excellent corner, Pro Bowler. And then TJ Edwards, he went on again with the injury. The depth, I don't know. It's hard. The defense is horrible. And I was telling you prior to going into this year, consisting of last year's record, I wasn't worried too much about the offense more than I was about the defense. Yes, we had a Grady Jarrett, but it's still not enough. And Dale Odeyingbo, but it's not enough. Not when you have the Green Bay Packers having additions of the likes of Micah Parsons, and then the Lions getting Aiden Hutchinson back. The Vikings defense, fantastic, Right. So you have to be in contention. You have to be on that level to perform, especially in this tough division. So, it's going to be hard. I do think the Bears can pull it off, but clock management is another big factor too. So
it is a big factor for sure. I do have the Cowboys winning this, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that they're ranked 7th in their secondary on defense. So if Caleb does throw, I do see already a potential pick in this game. I feel like he has to throw the ball to try to win this game. I think that it is going to be scored in anywhere from 17 to 24 points on each side. And I think that the Cowboys offensively have some serious weapons.
They do.
And Dak, during the regular season, is a very good quarterback. I hate to say it. I really do. I don't like him, but he is a good quarterback. He's been here so many times before. He knows how to operate a system with decent weapons on his team, and he knows how to move the ball around. I definitely think that the defense surprisingly has stepped up, even with the Micah Parsons trade for the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys will run and operate the way they need to get this win. However, the Bears could easily pull something out of their hat that none of us have seen before, and they could get this win. So, but safely, and where I want to put my Mario coins, it's going to be with the Cowboys. Next is going to be the Cardinals and 49ers. Now, this one's interesting because the 49ers were not favored for a long time going into this game. Up until a couple days ago, they are now favored. We don't know why yet. I'm going to do my deep dive into this. So for people that are watching, I'll have updates on my TikTok. Make sure you follow me there. As well as the Cardinals. Cardinals have been performing really well. This is a very important game for us, Ollie, because, and obviously I'm a huge 49er fan. I have a 49er hat on right now, but this is an important one. We're both 2-0, right?
Yeah.
If the Rams beat Philadelphia, then we have 2 people tied. So
Yeah.
this is going to determine who sits on top and who continues the motion forward. Now, I have the Cardinals winning this game because of the injuries at hand for the 49ers. However, the 49ers played the Cardinals really well, and we're at home. And initially, I had the Niners winning against Cardinals at home and losing in Arizona. So it could be vice versa this year when we get healthy towards the end of the year and we go play Cardinals at their home and we win. So it's going to be an interesting takeaway. Right now, I feel comfortable with the Cardinals. I think James Conner's performing well. I think Kyler Murray's performing well. Call of Duty hasn't dropped yet, so he's really focused about football. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think about this game, Molly?
They're both good teams. I think if Mac Jones replicates his same performance from week 2, I definitely have you guys winning it. Interesting fact I wanted to point out too real quick as I was looking into the DraftKings app.
Yeah.
They did update the Moneyline odds already. They have the Arizona Cardinals sitting at plus 120 and the 49ers at minus 142. Now, yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go with your team, brother. I think the Niners can't pull this off. Definitely could. It's at home at Levi's. Even in the regular season, I predicted that you guys will split with them. And yeah, the injuries play a factor into it, so that's why I can understand your point. Where you think the Cardinals would win this, but James Conner did not perform that well. I believe I have him in my fantasy league. And so I think, I think the Niners can definitely pull it off. But it is going to be a tough game.
It's going to be a tough game, yeah. I think it's going to come down to who operates and handles the ball more, why they stay ahead. If I think any team falls behind more than 7, I think it's just going to play a big factor in the catch up, and I don't think either team will be able to do it. Next is going to be KC and Giants. This is 100% KC's bounce back game. I don't even think there's any questions about it. I understand that the Giants do have some really awesome pieces offensively to be able to operate and get some touchdowns done, but their defense is horrendous. I think that KC walks over them by at least 10 points. I think Kansas City is going to really prove a point to everyone in America that watches football or even knows about the Kansas City Chiefs. I 100% think that they are going to get their get back this week and they take the stub. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, I do think that, a lot of people in media are speculating, Kansas City is one and done. This is going to be their year where they're not going to be thriving and whatnot. I tell people, listen, it's only been 2 weeks. This is the 3rd week. You got to understand the strength of your schedule. One, they played in Brazil in the first game against a very good divisional opponent. And divisional opponents are always just hard, just generally speaking. You know this from common football knowledge. And then the second game they had against the Philadelphia Eagles, the reigning Super Bowl champs, that was very hard, So you have to factor those things in. You can easily predict that they could go 0-2, which they have. And this is definitely the turnaround game for sure.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Down in my mind.
Yeah, what's interesting though on the opposite end of this is that if the Giants do beat the Kansas City Chiefs, there's no way they're making the playoffs because not only would they have to win 3 games, they would have to the Chargers would have to lose 3 games. And then I just don't see that happening with the Chargers schedule ahead of what they have ahead of them. So if they lose this, they can make wild card maybe at 0-3, but I just think their season's a wrap if they lose it.
Oh yeah,
3 in a row.
If they lose to the Giants, then you can officially say that. Right now, it's hard to, like I said, with those first two matchups, you can give them the benefit of the doubt. Right. But if they lose to the Giants, no, you give no benefit of the doubt. Right.
Well, the other thing with this too, right, is if the Chiefs do lose and they don't have some amazing game that I think that they're going to put together this week against the Giants, if they don't put something crazy together, right?
Yeah.
Is this going to be harder for us as people that bet sports to want to bet on the Chiefs.
Oh, 100%.
Right. Yeah. All right. Next game we got. This is going to be a tough game in a sense. However, it's in Baltimore. And I think that the Ravens beat the Lions. I do. I think the Ravens beat the Lions. I think this is a last loss that the Lions get for a few games moving forward. I think that the Ravens, they beat the Lions on this one.
Yeah, I totally agree on that. They're at home. Lions are a good team, but as I explained earlier, they did play two divisional opponents. They played a really great opponent in week one. They lost, and then in week two, they played against a team that's trying to figure things out. So you don't know where the state of the franchise is currently moving forward. And this game, unfortunately for the Lions, it's gonna cast up a huge shadow over the team and the franchise going forward into the following weeks. But I think this is definitely going to show and expose them as far as like not being as the clear-cut number one team coming out of the NFC the way we could have projected them going back to last year.
It's interesting because the Ravens have a good pass defense, but their rush defense is bad. And normally you would say, okay, the Lions are going to walk all over them. Well, the Lions are ranked 23rd in rush offense this year. So either they start operating at the caliber that we're used to seeing them, or the Baltimore Ravens just shut them down. So I do have the Ravens taking the dub on this one. I do think this is going to be a win for Baltimore. So just a quick recap. There's some differences between our picks, but not too much. We have the Bills over the Dolphins, the Packers over the Browns. I have Philly over LA. You have LA over Philly. I have Colts over the Titans. However, that's a trap game. Tampa Bay Buccaneers over the Jets. We have the Falcons over the Panthers. The Commanders over the Raiders. The Patriots over the Steelers. We have the Vikings over the Bengals. Texans over the Jaguars. That's another trap game. Seahawks over the Saints. We have the Chargers over the Broncos. That could go either way. Cowboys over the Bears. That could go over either way. I have Cardinals over the Niners. You have the Niners over the Cardinals. KC over the Giants. And then Baltimore Ravens over the Lions. So that's what we have for this week. And I'm excited to see what we got going for football. So if you had to be really excited about one game of what's going to happen, who are you excited to see out of all of these?
I had to pick. These are some tough games. Number one that comes to my mind is Baltimore. And
yeah, if you just had to pick one game.
Yeah. Actually, no. Let me rephrase that. I'm gonna have to go with the Rams and the Eagles.
Yeah, I think that's well, for me, obviously the Niner Cardinals because they're both 2-0. But yes, I would say the Rams and the Eagles is going to be a big takeaway game. We're going to see who really sits on top, and this is going to put the Rams in probably the second ranked power position for power rankings if they end up taking away this win.
Oh, yeah.
The Eagles will move down to 3 or 4 if they from first if they end up losing this game. But yes, again, guys, we want to say thank you so much for tuning in today. My name is John Hamilton. I'm with SLM Bets with Sports Lounge Media. We had our special guest, Ali, here. Ali is phenomenal and great, full of ball knowledge, and he's just an awesome person to hang out. If you guys want to get more content from us, you guys can follow us at our TikToks. Also follow us on sportsloungemedia.com. You guys should subscribe to all of our media platforms that we have. We are going to be starting a subscription service where you guys can follow our picks for a small rate per month. We highly recommend it. And again, as always, peace out, much love, and bet responsibly.